Welcome back, everybody. This is JP Trades. Before we get into the silver update today, I do have a big announcement to make. I have created my own JP Trades Discord community. If you follow the link in the description, it will take you here, and all you have to do is go to the welcome area and start here. Make sure you read the rules, the disclaimer, and the manifesto. This will give you an understanding of what this community is about, what I stand for, and what we are trying to do. Because this is going to be a very, very different trading education community. Our focus is on student success. My focus in this community is not to just offer courses and course after course after course. I'm going to give everything to y'all in one community. Everyone will have the same exact learning process, the same exact education structure, much like going to college. So you'll attend a class, you'll take the education, and then there's going to be a very special part after the education that I will get into later. And if you're in the Discord, you will find out about it. But I am making it my mission to make this community all about the student success. That is what matters to me the most. I want to make sure that I'm not just putting a course out there for people to take and then blindly start taking trades on their own and not knowing what to do in the real world. I want to make sure that we are bridging that gap and we have a structured system that bridges the gap from education to application and even to consistent success. So with that said, join our Discord. It is completely free. VIP access is completely free for a limited time until we get this built up and the whole education system is built. Now, with that said, what do we see on silver? Right now on this monthly chart, the first thing I see is a nice break of structure from this high, right? So I'm going to pull my range tool, and we see that we have hit the deviation pocket 2 very, very nicely here. So something that I would like to see in a high time frame, not to say that this has to happen, but again, it's just a trade idea, is that we range in here, we break the range, we come back to mitigate somewhere in this area to then take out this high. So it's just a simple range initiation mitigation for the continuation type of effect. Now, let's clean things up, go to the daily. Obviously, everything is bullish on the high time frames. We don't have daily structure until here, right here. This is our daily low, okay? So we have a while for this daily to come on down, or the structure to come on down the daily time frame and still mitigate anywhere along this path to continue up. So I know a lot of people are, they might be getting really bearish here because we, have had a somewhat of a small sell-off. I think people are making this bigger than it needs to be, 15%. I mean, what about the drive up? I mean, 125%. I would figure that 15% is not a lot considering the movement we've had up. So I'm not extremely bearish by any means. And of course, the fundamental sentiment on gold and silver is what it is. So what do we see? How can we create a plan, a tradable plan to trade shorts, longs, everything in between, scalps, intraday trades, swing trades? Let's set it up. So let's go down to the 4 hour and see where our structure is in the 4 hour. We can see that this was our structure low. And we have done nothing but SFP this low so far. So everything from here to here is still internal structure. We tried taking this low, but we definitely pulled back up. And again, today, of course, is January 1st. Markets aren't open, but let's see what happens this week. So let's put our levels back on. We have tons of order blocks, tons of levels, as always. And no, don't get overwhelmed because you have a ton of levels everywhere. That's not the reason why they're here. The reason why they're here is to pinpoint small reaction areas so we can have refined entries. Much like this entry right here. You see, we had this order block, the bigger order block, but we had a smaller, refined order block inside. That's why you see so many different order blocks. So, with that said, what are we looking for? Well, we already swept all these lows. You had a massive amount of lows. You hit an order block to perfection. So I would love it to at least come back up to here to VWAP in this order block, and maybe even come back down around this area, or sweep this low and come back to this naked point of control. Why am I saying that? If we pull our range from top to bottom, we see that we've already taken this liquidity here once. So we are potentially building an accumulation model. Tap 1, tap 2. Could we get a tap 3 at the second point of control? Or does it come up here and give us a tap 2 here for a model 2 Wyckoff? So I'm looking for a Wyckoff accumulation model to form right in this area. So that is a preemptive formation. Now we do have some really nice levels below us that are in the deviation zone. This entire area has a lot of great high volume, powerful levels in it. So the first thing I'll be looking for is another long in this area, specifically right around that naked point of control. That would give us tap 1, tap 2, and tap 3 for that Wyckoff model. If it does actually take this high here, come into this area, I would actually want to see a newly formed area of demand right here. And this is where I would be watching for that tap 3 of the model 2 Wyckoff. So it looks something like that. You have the tap 1, tap 2, and tap 3. Now, if we actually do break below here, I would want to see a high time frame market structure shift in this area. And in fact, it could just be a bit more boring than that. And just come and range here. And then it just range, forming a model 2 or model 1 in this area instead. But I will do plenty of updates before we get to that, right? To the upside, we do have this very clear level of liquidity here at this high. So that makes this area for me a much better suited short zone rather than all of this here. Now let's go down to the 1 hour. Now, if price comes up to here and here, any of these little areas here, does that mean because I'm really looking at this that I'm not going to short anything in here? No. If we come up here and get some kind of confirmation that we're breaking down, or we have some kind of order flow confirmation here, I will definitely short right here. However, if we come up to here and have a confirmation here, and it looks, we haven't formed any kind of accumulation down here just yet, then that means I'm going to take this trade, if I were to short here, taking it down to that tap 2 of this model 2 here, like I was talking about. So I'm not going to enter in here short and target way down here. You have to make sense of your targets. You have to see both sides, as this market runs in an auction, a two-way auction. The market doesn't run on random shapes and lines and patterns. It runs from buyers and sellers. Once you start understanding that, you can then start to understand this game. You start to get into the buyers and the sellers' heads and their psychology, what they want, how they're positioning. Then that's how you really win this game. So we have our long areas and long ideas. We have a couple short ideas. But what if this thing just ends up pumping up? Well, then we will look to break this high. And after we break this high, we will look for a short in this zone to take down to here into a newly formed demand area that we will have to wait and see what is created when price actually comes up to here. And then we can long that newly formed demand area after we've broken structure. So on the 1 hour, this is your structure. So if price were to come up here, break this structure, short here, and you come back down and VWAP kind of carries on, I would be looking for that VWAP trade just like that. That's really going to conclude the scalps and day trades. As far as a swing perspective, again, I have the swing perspective on that monthly that I was showing. Again, that is a long way. That would take a long time to play out. And that'd be about a 40% drop if that happened. That would be pretty brutal. So I don't know if that is actually going to happen. However, it's not out of the cards. I have seen plenty of drops in my day, especially when we have something that's so overextended and everyone thinks that this thing is just going to run to the moon and never stop. That's not how healthy markets move. It can do that for a while. Sure, it can continue going up. But at some point, there's going to be a healthy pullback. And it's probably going to shock everyone. But it shouldn't be shocking because that's just a normal thing that happens in markets. Like everyone needs to get used to these minor and even major pullbacks as a regular normal thing. If you've been in markets trading them longer than, 2-3 years, you should have seen plenty of those by now. So I will keep you all updated in the Discord, but for now, this is the update that I like. I like all the long and short plans that we have noted here. And once we get some price action tomorrow, we'll do another update.